Kelly. How are you today? This is so fun. I'm the author of Lilac Girls and now Lost Roses. This is my new book, and it's out in paperback right now, which is really exciting. So I'm going to talk to you about that today, and this is one of the inaugural sessions of Random House's new writing routine where they talk to authors about what they do to get ready to write in their houses. And so it's really, really fun to be one of the first people to do that. And it was really fun to have something to take a shower for this morning. All of us in quarantine now, and I got to actually put mascara on, and so thanks for joining me, and this is going to be fun, I think. So I have a list of questions that the good people at Random House gave me, and it's just all about what I do during the day and what it's like to write. And I swear I have the best life in the whole world. So it's really fun to be able to share that with you all. So the first question, and I should wait just a little bit to let people get on because I know it takes a little while. But the first question that I have is, what do you do beyond writing? And not a lot, actually, sadly. I love going out on book tour because I get to see human beings, which is great because usually I'm pretty much in this room. This is here in Connecticut, at my house in Litchfield, Connecticut. And I live on a working hay farm, which is really fun and beautiful. And it's on a hill, so we have gorgeous views. It's unbelievable. But I have everything I need right here. I'm basically in quarantine all the time. So this is not that different for me. And when I go on book tour, it is so much fun to see what's happening in the world and to meet readers. And I was actually just out on book tour when for Lost Roses and my new book, my second one after Lilac Girls. And I was actually in Alabama on the runway going from Alabama to Houston on my book tour for the paperback. And my agent called me and said, Martha, you need to come home. It was right when everything was, starting to happen with the pandemic. So I got a few stops in on my tour, and I got to see some unbelievably wonderful people. But then I had to come home. So this is really wonderful that I get to see you all today. So when I do go out on book tour, I get to see how people live. And for Lilac Girls, I did a wonderful Jewish book tour, and I went all over Florida. And I realized people, while I'm home writing, really basically that's what I do all day, from 7 to 7 pretty much, people are out there, and those women were having so much fun. They were playing mahjong and going to girls' weekends in the Keys, and I just thought, wow, someday I'll be able to do that and actually get out in the world. I don't know if that will ever actually happen because I love. It sounds crazy, but I love being a hermit and being here in this one room and writing. So anyway, that's what I do beyond writing. The next question is, when and where do you write? And I guess I've kind of answered that already, but here in Connecticut, in Northwest Connecticut, and in this room, pretty much. This is up on the second floor, so I have gorgeous views. And I pretty much go from my little love seat where I write longhand on a pad. And some days I go over to that chair Pretty much, not really that chair because it's not comfortable, but and then go to the bookshelf. That's pretty much it. And then this is my writing desk. So yeah, this is where the whole thing happens. The next question is, oh wow, I'm getting questions. This is so great. Did I always have good writing skills? Wow, you guys are asking some really great questions. Hopefully, I'll go through my questions relatively quickly so I can get to some of those. What would surprise people most about your routine? Oh gosh. Maybe it's that I like to find things, whatever I'm writing about, since I mostly write about historical fiction. My fourth book is going to be a suspense novel, so that's completely different. But for my historical fiction, I like to find things on eBay and at tag sales and that are of the period. And I think that would surprise people maybe. Like for my Civil War book that it's called Sunflower Sisters, that comes out, that is the third book after Lost Roses. It is coming out next spring, and it's about Caroline Faraday's great-grandmother. And I was collecting for a while tin types of this. Is kind of, one of the characters is an enslaved girl that lives on a tobacco plantation, and I found this on eBay, and I just love it, and it helps me when I'm writing to have objects that I can hold. In the book, one of the characters has love tokens that he back in the Civil War, they used silver coins, and I don't know if you can see this, but they engraved them with their initials, and they would give them to their lady love, and it was almost like an engagement ring. So I found some of these. So I just like to, and for Lilac Girls, I found Caroline Faraday was, she helped a lot of orphans, French orphans, and I found these on French eBay. And these were little lapel pins that people would wear once they gave a donation to the cause. I also really like finding scents of the period. If you remember Paul Rodier from Lilac Girls, how can you forget him? I chose a scent for him, and this is an actual scent from the period, and it's fabulous. I actually put some on this morning, and my husband said when he smelled it, he said, and he put a little on himself, he said, "I'm falling in love with myself," which I thought was really funny. But so that kind of thing helps a lot. This is a perfume that the Tsarina, Lost Roses is about the Russian Revolution, and the Russian royal family factors into it. And this is the scent that the Tsarina, Alexandra, wore. So all of that. I also made a Civil War Christmas tree while I was writing Sunflower Sisters, and so this is one of the ornaments from that period. A creepy doll. It all helps. So I think that would probably surprise people that that's what I'm doing, sequestered in this room. The next question is, what is your outline or research process? When I first started writing, I came to this late in life. I was in my 50s when I started writing. I just kind of happened upon the story of Lilac Girls, actually very close to here in Bethlehem, Connecticut, about 10 minutes away from where I live now. And I didn't know anything about writing, and I just started writing, and in a way that's good. I think I would recommend that if you have a book in you feel, or you're passionate about a story. But what I learned was I anyway have to outline. Especially I write with 3 characters, at least in my first 3 books. And when you're basing a book on fact, it's really important, I think, to have an outline, because it took me 10 years to write Lilac Girls, and I think part of the reason was I was writing things and then I would find, they weren't quite meshing. But then once I had an outline, it really, so I thought I would show you my outline that I had that I did for Sunflower Sisters. This is the Civil War book that I just finished, so the third book. And I don't know if you can see, but it's 3 different characters. I don't want you to look too closely because spoilers, but you can tell it's very long. There's 3 parts to it, and I feel like once you have an outline like that, you're basically you can go to it and say, oh, I'm going to write this scene today, and kind of you just have a roadmap, and it's just a million times easier. The other thing that I do in terms of the outline or research process, once I have my characters, I like to do character boards, and it's just a really fun part of it. I don't know where I think I read about it online somewhere that writers do that, and so I just started taking pictures. Some of them are real. I'm going to show you some of my character boards from Sunflower Sisters, the latest book that I just finished. And a lot of them are real people because they're Caroline Faraday's great-grandmother and her great-aunts. And but some of them I just find, and that's all kind of the fun part of it too. So I'm just going to turn the camera a little bit and show you some of my characters. There's 3 characters in it, in Sunflower Sisters, and this is the kitty. This is Anne May. She is the plantation mistress. This is her here. And here are just some of the people that I found to kind of represent the characters. And here is Caroline Faraday's great-grandmother, Jane Eliza, her great-grandfather, Mr. Woolsey, and here is Georgianne Woolsey, who was a nurse on the Civil War battlefield, and she and her 6 sisters are the characters in Sunflower Sisters. I don't know if you can see them all, but it really helps, I think, to put them on a board. And these are my enslaved characters. This is Gemma. She's the main character, and her grandma and her mom and dad. So it really, I think, helps put a name to a face. And this is the novel I'm working on currently, and it is a suspense novel and whole different genre. So that, and then the other part of it is, of the research, is travel. And that is really, really fun, especially when you're a writer and you're in one room all the time. It's really fun to get out. And for Lost Roses, I got to go to Russia, which was amazing. I went with my husband. And many trips to France, which is so, I mean, talk about a perk, one of the best perks. And for LILAC Girls, of course, I went to Poland and Germany, and toured places like Ravensbrück concentration camp. And I feel like that's the way with historical fiction anyway, and really with anything that I write anyway. I feel like if I haven't been there, it's really hard to write convincingly about it. And I really like to try and bring that to readers, try to like time travel a little bit. So travel is a huge part of that too. Another question: when are you most productive? Definitely morning. I'm just a morning person. They say you should get to your desk before you brush your teeth. I brush my teeth first and then come up here, but I feel like by about 3 o'clock, I'm ready to just kind of, I just do other kinds of things in the afternoon. Like I'll go on eBay and look for old postcards, or just do something different. but definitely I really try to protect those morning hours, and the earlier the better. How do you solve writer's block? Ugh, I don't even like saying those words, but from the very beginning, I've never really believed in writer's block. And I know that maybe I'm in denial, but I feel like if I'm blocked, what I'm working on, whatever scene it is not a good scene to be working on. I usually check if it's got enough tension and conflict and all the things that a scene has to have. And then if it's just not working, I'm pretty brutal about just throw it away or put it, in a file that you can come back to another time, because I'm not patient enough to kind of let something happen for several days. I don't know. I'm just not that way. So I also don't really believe in the whole you have to write every day or you have to write a certain number of words every day, because for me anyway, when I tell myself you have to write 10,000 words, it makes me just not want to write at all. So I just feel like you have to get to that place where you're being gentle with yourself, because the creative muse, it doesn't always, if you force it, for me anyway, it doesn't work. So do you write alone or with others? I did laugh a little bit at this question because I don't know how people would write with others. I'm such a solitary writer that writing with others, I don't know, that gives me agita a little bit. I'm not sure how people do that. I admire other writers that can collaborate, but if I had to sit in a room with someone and write with them, I don't know, that would be bad. What inspires you? Oh, wow, that's fun. Reading, not surprisingly, I guess. I feel like that's always really, really inspiring. Whenever I read anything, I'm always I always have a pen and paper with me, because it always just kind of takes me in other directions. I just read, I don't know if you have seen Conjure Women, Afia Adekora. I hope I'm saying her name correctly, but I loved this book. It's a Civil War book. It's just a little post-Civil War. And I, of course, with Sunflower Sisters, just wrote a Civil War book. So I was really eager to read it. And she's such a good writer. And bonus, the cover, my early reader copy didn't have the cover that's on it. The cover is the most beautiful of any cover I've seen this year. So yeah, books definitely. And I am really lucky. I get to read a lot of early reader copies of things that people want blurbs for. Another book that I just finished that I really, really loved is called Horse Crazy. And this is by Sarah Mazanier. And she is a New York Times columnist and finalist for a Pulitzer Prize. And beautiful writing about growing up loving horses. And in Lost Roses, and if you're just joining us, I'm Martha Hall Kelly, and I wrote Lilac Girls and now Lost Roses. And Horse Crazy is such a lovely book. In Lost Roses, there's a horse named Jerushka, and I wish I had read Horse Crazy before I wrote that horse, because I really think that horses can change your life, and this book is all about that. So anyway, Sarah Mazanier, her father, by the way, wrote a fabulous Holocaust book as well, that was really helpful with Lilac Girls. One of the best I've ever read, actually. So anyway, what else inspires me? Just life, I think, too. With Lilac Girls, I came upon that story just going to a museum and to see lilacs one May. And so after that, I really pay attention to just life, what I'm interested in. Because I figure if I'm interested in something, then readers will be too. And I think that's true whoever is writing. If you're interested in it, other people will be too. So my book that I'm working on right now, my suspense novel, I guess you could call it a thriller. I was at a book signing, and the last person in line asked me a question, asked me to do something, and it sent me on this. I don't know. I went on this crazy imaginative journey, and came up with this premise because I became obsessed with what the person had. I can't tell you what it is because that would spoil the book, but I think you just have to really be aware in your own life, at least this is how it works for me, what interests you and what, in this case, scares you, because it's a really scary book. And it takes place in this house. So, yeah, I can only write it during the day because it's, scares me too much if I write it at night. And my last question, and I think that will be good because then I can answer some of your questions after this. Oh God, what do you eat, drink to keep yourself charged throughout a writing day? Tea. I really, really, really love tea. But it's more about what I don't eat, because I don't know if you're feeling this way in quarantine now, but I feel like when you work from home, it's so easy to just go, oh, there's banana bread downstairs. I'm going to take a little break. So for me, it's, trying not to eat. My husband cooks every night these amazing dinners. And so I just have to be careful that I don't take too many trips down to the refrigerator. So anyway, that is the wonderful questions from the Random House people. And now I just have to turn my head a little bit to see what your questions are. I've never done this before, so... Oh, this is so fun. I'm looking for questions. I'm writing my first book in my 50s, and I'm so inspired by you. That's so nice. That really, I don't know, makes me want to cry. But anyway, that's really sweet. Wow, this is so fun. I know this is boring, me just like flipping through here. How is next book progressing? Have you been to South Africa? No, I would like to go though. It's a long plane flight though. I don't know. I'm a bad flyer. So how is next book progressing? Really, really well. Actually, I have 2 in the works coming up that are in very different genres. One is the suspense novel, and one is another historical novel, but a more contemporary one. But the suspense one is just so fun to write something with characters that are contemporary. I love writing historical fiction. I'm not going to stop doing that because I really, that's so much fun. But it is nice to write about people that, and also it takes place in my town. So that's really fun too, to actually showcase some of the places and people that I know in my own town. And it's just fun. I think all 3 of my other books, my historical fiction books, have been, they have a strong suspense thread in them anyway. I really try to write the kind of book that I want to read. And I love a book that just keeps me turning pages and up all night. And I feel like, it's called The Girl on Windy Hill, the suspense novel. And I feel like Windy Hill is all about suspense, just like Lilac Girls was. That invisible thread of that keeps you turning pages. So it's going really well. And I always figure if I'm happy to get up in the morning and go to my desk, it's going well, and I'll keep writing until that's not the case. I can't imagine that won't be the case forever. Do you read other books while you are working on a book? That's a great question. Yes, I do. Mostly, when I'm really in the thick of it, like when I was finishing Lost Roses. For those of you that have just tuned in, I'm Martha Hall Kelly. I wrote Lilac Girls and now Lost Roses. When I was just finishing up my third book, Sunflower Sisters, which is about Caroline Faraday's great grandmother's family, and they were staunch abolitionists. When I was writing that, I had to read in the period a lot. And that means things like, hold on one second. I just want to show you what I've been reading. And this is Godey's Ladies Journal. And it's things like, things from the 1800s. So I really like to read in the period. So for Lost Roses, it was World War One, and for Lilac Rose, it was World War Two. So it's really fun once I finish a book, because pretty much that's all I do while I'm writing a certain book is read this kind of thing. So it's really fun once I finish to be able to read things like David Sedaris or things like Conjure Women, because I can take a break from the other stuff, because it does get a little bit, reading things from the Civil War period. It's not super fun all the time. So just language wise, it's tough to get through some of it sometimes. What else are people saying? This is really fun. Are you writing more or less during quarantine? Wow. That's another fabulous question. Different, I think. One of my daughters is home, so she works for Showtime, and she works all day. But when she's available early in the morning, we walk together. So some of my morning time gets cut into, but I wouldn't exchange that for the world. And it's really fun to have her to bounce things off of, and she's a fantastic editor, as is my other daughter, Mary, and my son, Michael. My kids are really, really super helpful. But so I'd say about the same amount of writing, but just a little bit different. Yeah. Thanks for that question. I read each of your novels in one sitting. Wow, that's impressive. I don't read that fast. That's amazing. If you write 12 hours a day, when do you read? I try to read at night, and that's usually the best time for me. But I'm also reading things like, if there's a scene that I'm having trouble with, and I don't know, some of the mechanics of it, I need to read writing books, or I read all sorts of historical books as well. So usually at night. Yeah. So I stay up a couple hours. I stay up late. Yeah. I don't sleep that much. I adore your books. Oh, that's so nice. Love hearing about your research. Have you ever left books in the middle while reading because it didn't interest you enough? Oh my God, all the time. It's really bad. I'm terrible that way. Some people write to me and say, I finish every book that I start. And I admire that so much, because if I'm not interested, and it happens quickly, I can't continue. I know, it's bad. I can't believe I'm admitting that to the world. But yeah, I've always been that way. That's why I feel like it's so important to, when I'm writing my books, to, if someone's going to pay actual money to read my book or take it out of the library when they could be reading something else, I feel like I owe it to them to make it an experience where they're not going to want to, just go, oh, I have to finish this. So I try to do that. I mean, it's hard because everyone has different reading taste, and some people like more description or less, or you just have to do what you think is right, I think, and what you like. Because, for example, Donna Tartt, amazing. My sister, Polly Simpkins, shout out Martha's Vineyard, she loves Donna Tartt, loves all the description. And my hair colorist, Jamie Latiole in Atlanta, told me he cannot read Donna Tartt because the descriptions are too long, and he really can't read about a meadow for 2 pages. And I just thought that's so interesting. It just depends on your reading taste. And for me, I like somewhere in the middle. I think as soon as I feel like I've done the job and have kind of set the scene, I get bored writing too much about one scene. The description of it. I think it's much more interesting to get into the action and the emotion and the characters. So anyway, I'm rambling. But what time is it? Oh my God, it's 11:30. My half hour's up. I could do this literally all day. But anyway, it was so nice to see you all, and thank you for your questions. And hopefully we can do this again soon. And hopefully soon we'll figure out all of our virus problems, and we can all be back together again, because I love you guys. And getting really sad, but anyway, we'll get out there and see each other soon. Thank you so much.